Fantastic. Good evening, everybody, or hello, or good morning. My name is Chuck Blanchette. I'm from Research Operations at Boston Children's Hospital. I'm a capital equipment specialist, and I lead the all-volunteer grassroots Green Labs program at Boston Children's. It's a privilege to share our journey and our journey basically around behavior change and what we've seen for change in our sustainable research practices. Today, I'll be explaining how we used competitions, safety partnerships, and habit building to drive real impact on everything from freezers to fume. All right, so why behavior change? Now, we're pretty much all familiar with the fact that labs and research create way more waste and use more energy than regular office buildings, whether it be water, electricity. Uh, People are just not um, it's really the people who drive the sustainable change is what we're figuring out for us at Boston Children's. It's not just the equipment that you buy, but really the people that drive sustainability. So our goal was to create new habits. And with those habits, we build more of an autopilot feeling. And then that autopilot becomes culture. And then hopefully, with all the changes in researchers or research assistants to PIs, that culture will change. They'll share their information, and that really leads to culture shift. Um, so why are we doing this? And as I joke around, it sounds more than a question a toddler would ask you all. It's why. All right, so here's a snapshot of our Green Labs program. This is a photo here of last year's participants in the International Freezer Challenge. So there was in Boston Children's Hospital, we have about 210 labs or PIs, which will, depending on the size of the lab, we have six buildings currently, and we're currently building another building. So the footprint is rather large. Um, and then so our Green Labs journey, it's kind of like a tall tale on how it started. There was a couple of researchers, they were sitting, eating some food at the cafeteria. They were in different labs and they were talking about what they could recycle or how our recycling in general was handled throughout the institution. And then through that, they took the My Green Lab ambassador training, and then they formed essentially what became Boston Children's Green Labs. In the winter of 2021 and earlier 2022, I started my role in research operations. In that role, I am in charge of our critical research repository program, which is monitoring over 680 minus 80s and minus 20s for the researchers, so all their cold storage. And they started off with, "Hey, Chuck, I got a quick question. You know freezers," and to which I responded, "Kind of." Um, so they showed me the International Freezer Challenge layout, and I said, "Well, goodness, well, this is what researchers are supposed to be doing anyways. This is preventative maintenance." So I went around and I started talking to people, and within the small span, out of those 210 labs, we got 8 labs to participate in the freezer challenge, and we won the top clinical organization award, which is amazing. But then I was thinking, that's only 8 labs. Why aren't everybody? Why isn't everybody doing this? So the growth started to really happen. Word started to spread, and we started offering initiatives and some prizes. Um, so in 2023, the grand prize is what we were going to give away a minus 80 freezer, an energy efficient one. And we only got 20 labs to participate. But thankfully and luckily enough, we won the winning streak award, which is fantastic. So that started building momentum and getting leadership recognition throughout the institution, which is great. And then last year, we got 37 labs to participate, and we won the top clinical organization again award. Um, and but still, 37 labs to me, wasn't enough. So you could see the change happening. You could see people being inspired. Uh, and last year, we even offered an ice cream party, and that seemed to sell more than minus 80, but who knows? Um, at the time, though, those two researchers who started the program left, and I was kind of flying solo with the help of a couple other people. And I had my first Green Lab event, and we planted succulents into pipette tip boxes and just had an open conversation. The Green Labs program, what other institutions are doing, and then that's when we started. There are green champions all around us. Um, but with some momentum and some outreach and some friendly competition, we grew. And now I have a crew of 14 people, which is fantastic. And we're really hungry this year for more sustainable initiatives. And winning the Shut the Sash competition for the University Alliance group last year was really a tipping point there. So, you know, one of the things that I can relate to is for anybody who's familiar with Simon Sinek, he's a speaker on leadership, and he has this theory about the golden circle. And what that is, it's like not what you do, but why you do it. And so we took that here at Boston Children's, and we wanted to see who cares, and how to engage people. We found the best way to engage people were, the boots on the ground method, talking to people as they were doing activities. If you saw that person defrosting that freezer, we would go and we would engage them right there, see how they're doing, see if they needed help. We decided that we could make freezer defrosting kits to make it easier for people to perform the service, which is all part of that freezer challenge program. So we're supplying assistance in conversation to kind of build the culture around sustainable practices. They might have been doing sustainable practices all along, but never really knew what they were doing. So uh, the why Simon Sinek has. So the purpose is, what your cause and what your belief is. Why you get out of the get out of bed in the morning. What is your emotional center? You know, and then the how are the values or the principles that guide how you bring things to life, or bring why to life, so to speak, right? And the what is your products or your services or your job title. And then so to this, the limbic brain, he says, which governs feelings like trust, loyalty, and decision making, doesn't respond to the language of the what. It responds to the emotional purpose. So we try to harness that. So we started speaking at monthly uh, lab rep town hall meetings, and we just carved out 10 minutes, and we would do one educational snippet a month. And that really brought in people's ideas of what was going on. For instance, like just those few facts that you could relate to, like 1 minus 80 equals one household worth of energy a day. Like eyes would wide open, in disbelief. Jaws would drop at a fume hood being 3.5 times of a house worth of energy a day. So we were able to harness those things and really bring some more awareness to what sustainable actions might be happening in their lab. Let's see. So driving behavior change. Again, the boots on the ground idea was the most effective. There's a quick picture of us planting the succulents into the pipette tip boxes, which they already have, and they were going to get either recycled. Now we have recycling, but they would have been tossed anyways. But so to have just a $100 investment in 100 succulents, and then just being able to engage in that one a small event, I had 130 people come through, and it was an amazing discussion. We are stronger together. Uh, we want to use EH&S on our side. Sometimes they're viewed as the police. Uh, we would hope not that they're viewed like that, but we can use that towards our advantage, because it's not just being sustainable to have to shut the fume hood sash. It's also safety. So if the Green Lab folks are talking about it, and then safety's talking about it, it must actually mean something important. Getting engineering buy-in was another problem that we had, because they're so busy with a lot of different things. To be able to grab that one champion, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but like there are people in every department who care, and then they can use that to spin the educational aspects of their job to help explain to researchers safety, proper function, and if things correctly, I mean, if things function correctly, they'll work correctly. And that's one of the sustainable, functions sometimes of pieces of equipment. If they're being used correctly, then you're actually seeing some energy savings. And what we wanted to do is make all these small actions repeatable. And then small actions, they say it takes 21 days to build a healthy habit. So doing the fume hood challenge, and then doing it for that length, a little bit longer, really helped drive some change in that regard. We always tried to have some clear signage. We'd have emails once a month. We did our trainings every other month or so. We'd have a webinar and kind of focus on a larger subject matter. But the education around everything, every moment is educational. That is what we really used to move forward. One of the things we take pride in is our green hedge program. It's an acronym, but think of what is a hedge? I see a wall of growth, which is strength. A hedge could be an investment made with the intention of reducing risk of adverse movements in an investment, like a hedge fund. But you think money, and we think equipment costs money, but our investment could be in our jobs. It could be in the institution. It could be the equipment. It could be our environment. Being able to twist that really helped because forming closely grown shrubs to form a hedge is like strengthening our community. So H for the hedge, right? It was to highlight the issue at hand. So say I'll use a freezer defrosting as an example. So we want to defrost the freezer so the ice isn't breaking the gasket. We're not forcing the handles to jam or warp the door. Educate. So we'll talk about how we can do it properly. For us, we have to remove the alarm. We have to find a backup freezer. We offer 38 backup freezers across those 6 buildings, so we can help kind of move the defrosting process along for the 600 or so units that we have. We demonstrate. So for people who haven't done it before, we would have a person go over and help them defrost for the first time. And we guide, and then we have them take over. And then we enable them, that's E, to go ahead and help other people in their lab do it and kind of pass it on. So educate, demonstrate, guide, enable. Let's see. So how does that kind of coincide with the golden circle? As I mentioned, why was the purpose, right? So we believe that the most lasting change comes from empowering people through clarity, confidence, and a guided action, right? So we believe we want to do better, and they just need the right support to get there, right? So hedge isn't just a training method; it's a mindset. It's about empowering people every level to move from awareness to ability, from intention to impact, and then the how, the process. We accomplish this through progressive training in that hedge kind of framework. Highlighting the issue is bringing visibility to the problem. Educating, we're sharing context, we're sharing knowledge, demonstrating, we're showing exactly what good looks like. Guiding is offering that support for the learners to try it themselves, and then enabling is providing those tools. So to the good part. So we again won the inaugural Shut the Sash competition through the I2SL UAG. And just a couple of photos here. So these are the fume hoods that we have, which was a challenge at first when we were taking measurements because our fume hood sashes go up and then they also go horizontally left and right. We are huge fans of contacting other people in other institutions across the US and further because they have great ideas too. And that's the cool thing about being in this position is we can share all of our ideas with other people. So there's a little Shut the Sash little bag there on the left. That is from the University of Colorado. They had a great idea on it, putting smiley face stickers within that. And the smiley face stickers counted as raffle tickets. And that's how we would choose our internal competition winners. So objectives of running our own competition. I didn't even tell anybody that we were a part of the international competition until after we won. I didn't want another variable to be added to any behavior change. But we wanted to learn about strategies to implement research enterprise-wide to see how we could change behavior change. We wanted to learn about the effectiveness of the sash height changes. the energy consumption and safety. We wanted to incorporate safety into the contest really a lot. So EH&S was a huge hand in that. And we all wanted to learn about exploring continuing fume hood sash monitoring systems as well. So we had 209 fume hoods that participated. Again, following UC Boulder's idea of an opt-out competition. This may work for you. This may not work for you. I thought it was a great idea because giving people not a chance or giving people the option to not participate will most likely lead to not participating. I used to joke around and say, never give anybody options. You know, this is what we're doing, folks, and this is how we're going to save energy, and this is how we're going to do the right thing. Instead of going, if you want to, you know. So even at that point, we found in previous initiatives that prizes would even make a difference in that regard. So we did offer an ice cream party. We learned cool things, and then one of the cool things we learned was hood hibernation is really the money. All right, so our behavior change overall, we already had a pretty good average sash height throughout the enterprise, which is good. After the competition, it did improve, but there wasn't much shockingly different results. The people who leave their fume hoods open always leave their fume hoods open. I felt that was our story. Um, we learned about fume hood driven rooms and how uh, the constant air volume hoods were different than the variable air volume hoods and how we saved energy in that regard too. But the most interesting fact that we learned uh, was the hibernation, as I mentioned. So what is fume hood hibernation? So if a lab is in transition, if they're moving out, if equipment or space is not currently needed, um, we could temporarily remove the fume hood from active use. We can put it to sleep, right? And then it can automatic, well, not automatic, sorry. And then we can turn it back on without too much change to the infrastructure. Um, we had some labs that moved out, and there was a lot of construction going on. We were able to, let's see, that took months. So we were able to hibernate 8 hoods at that point for quite some time. Um, we had 4 other buildings that were just kind of underutilized, where say if a lab suite was one whole floor and we only had one small lab using it, we could put the other ones to sleep too. The cool thing was too is that in those large shared suites, if you had 6 labs and you had 8 fume hoods and they all seemed to gather to the 4 in the middle, that's when you can start that discussion to kind of shut down or hibernate the other hoods. The difference between hibernating and decommissioning a hood too is like when hoods are obsolete or during that construction if we needed to remove a hood. This is when EH&S will perform safety clearance. We'll make sure that the chemicals are all removed. Hoods are permanently disconnected. The ductwork is removed or capped. That's decommissioning. So we didn't do any decommissioning. Definitely the hibernation is what we saw the most savings in. And according to the calculations from last year's results, is we saved about $16,000, which was pretty cool. So again, benefits of hibernation: energy and cost savings, reducing HVAC demand, support carbon goals. We have a pretty sturdy list for the hospital, and it encourages shared equipment use, as I said before. If there's a lot on the floor and you only use a couple, there's a way to do it. So where does change start? What can we do? Asking these questions. My father used to say, it never hurts to ask. So what can we do? What should we do? When, who, what, where, why, how? Who to ask? Facilities, HVAC specialists, they're always willing to help, especially if they get a chance to talk about their trade. I feel like that's when I learn the most. Even the freezer repair guys, I learned so much about freezers, which helped with the with the freezer challenge. So if you have a lab support organization, your green labs or sustainable labs folks, research operations, if that's something in your institution, any generic other support systems that you may have at work, we're all on the same team. So I'd like to reiterate that, like, I shout out to all my go-to folks like University of Virginia, UC Boulder, anybody in the I2SL UAG. They all have great ideas, and we all share ideas with each other, and it really helps. So, building a culture of sustainability, right? So, to recap, behavior, it turns into habit, which hopefully goes to a culture change. There's a couple of photos here. These are our winners of our internet competitions for the Fume Hood Challenge and International Freezer Challenge, but our local one, right? We're starting to see a real shift. We started as behavior change becoming second nature. Lab members now remind each other to shut the sash. Posters stay up. Habits are forming. And then we're seeing that culture shift at work. Same with keeping each other accountable for freezer PMs or shutting off the lights when they're leaving. All the low-lying fruit, we've seen a huge change. This leads to one of the things we're excited to try out is our own Boston Children's Hospital Green Lab certification. We have an environmental sustainability employee-led group now that goes throughout the whole institution, even the clinical side. And we now championed enough for a sustainability department. And we have our own director that started over a year and a half ago, and she just hired her first employee. So we're really excited about that. That's growing. Looking ahead, we'd love to expand on hibernation. Um, we're really rooting for green champions for each lab to kind of carry our message to the other lab folks. We're really just getting started. We want to uh, really work towards inspiring not just actions within work, but also actions for at home as well through our stuff. And hopefully, our continuing certification program will help, bring to light all the low-lying fruit, help labs like have meaning and get that certification. So we're really excited, and I hope what I shared with you helps. If you have any questions, these are some ways to contact us.
Great. Thank you so much, Chuck. And you can leave, I was gonna say you can leave that up there for a minute if you want, but that's okay. Um, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat just yet, but I'm actually gonna pose one to you real quickly. So it sounds like from what you, and thanks for this sort of, I love acronyms. So the hedge and the behavior habit, all that stuff I think is good, reiteration stuff. It sounds like you did, um, your engagement worked well when you had some kind of like physical offering, like the succulents or a prize or like a something that you gave people. Did you feel like that was part of the psychology of it, that you were giving something away or that people were getting something for participating, or was it just more, stopping work and thinking about something else for a while and gathering?
We really thought that, like, giving away a -80, an energy efficient brand new -80 would be like the linchpin, the total prize. I would get all 200 something labs to participate. And it really wasn't. But how you said people getting something, the more little activities that we do, like we're doing a Earth Month swap shop. So for people who have pieces of equipment that they don't need anymore, but are in working condition, they can bring it over to this one location we're going to have, and then they could leave it out and people could take or give, or and anything left over, we would have a third party e-waste recycling person come in if it wasn't good enough, if it didn't make the cut. That getting something, being able to do something, and being able to help other people. There's other initiatives as examples, but like they really enjoy being a part of that community now. It's funny to see the last 3 years boom in participation that we've gotten. And it wasn't because they got an ice cream party. It wasn't for pizza. It's really that ability to get something while giving something too. So
Interesting.
it's
Interesting.
and with our lab plastics recycling pilot that we're doing now, I've never seen more upset people before, that because it wasn't on their floor. We're just testing it out, measuring, and it was in 1 out of 6 buildings and only 2 floors out of 12 in that building, and I'm never hearing the end of it. But it's promoted enough interest where now we're this close to doing it institution wide, and I'll have better grasp on that in a couple of months.
Interesting. I mean, maybe it's Psych 101 or one of the basic tenets of social marketing, which is people want to feel a part of community and they're going to do something because their neighbors are doing it. So we just need to tap into some more of that. But it's kind of nice they got a little freebie too. So, well, thank you for that.